Welcome back everyone to another episode of Planet Nomads. Today we are taking a look at an exceptionally hefty design. This is the Heliport version 1 and 4 Helos Plus, and it is quite expensive. It takes a good bit of resources, so this is not something you're going to be making very early off. It's definitely something you're going to have to work towards, but it is built by Emmerich, who has done some of the air designs I've looked at, and it is going to be a base that is fairly extensive, so I need to go and find me a good little spot for this. Even though I could probably almost make it fit in there, it's not going to work that great. Let's go up here to the desert area and try building. So the helipad is done, and while I could not find a good level area to plop it down up in the desert, it is actually meant to go into a more level area of water. So you can dump it in. You can see you have these nice trusses that kind of sit there. And it is supposed to, I guess, sit at just the right level in the water for the water pump type thing to work. Maybe. We do have a item dispenser here, so you can just, or conveyor connector, so you can add something below it. It does feel like it's supposed to just sit in the water, maybe. But one reason it's so expensive is it comes with 4 heli vehicles. So you've got these smaller ones here, and then the medium size and the bigger one, and they're all attached into the design. So you're actually going to sit there and be like, all right, you know, I need to take this out, and then that drops down. Oh yeah, don't mess up and take out the wrong thing. Might want to make sure you have maybe some power going with some of these. That one actually has power going to it. Let's take this out and hopefully not crush myself. Oh, yep, that worked. And we'll go get the other ones now too. So yes, it's expensive somewhat in part because of the extra vehicles you get with it that are actually, you know, built in to be part of it, and then you just simply separate them a little bit. This is very much like the Tick that I looked at recently. And let's jump on in. So we got our nice little docking spot here, or, you know, our control panel here. We've got some storage. We got, yeah, stasis chamber, generator, greenhouse. Everything is very compact in here. Fab machine in the wall. Got a control panel there. So it's basically you're going to sit in this one little area and try to connect. And, you know, we could actually see down, which helps if you're trying to line stuff up. Then part of this also includes right here on the big helipad, we have this little thing, which is basically a, you know, lever type setup that many creators have used. We're tying in a, you know, connection between conveyor joints. So you can connect one conveyor set in at when you need it, and it's not always there. A lot of this is truss looking framework where it's not completed. Some people may not like that. Some people may wish to have a completed style in terms of the look itself. But, you know, for most part, it is still stable. It just doesn't have as much in the way of hit points, you know. But we're not exactly being attacked by alien creatures with weapons. It's just the local wildlife. So here we have another one that is, this is like our medium-sized one. Looks like a smaller version of the big one. Little conveyor connector there. We've got, you know, little feet. You got some storage on the side there. And like that, yeah. Scarabus. So the scarab. And then you have the cockpit here. It's just a normal cockpit you jump in and out of that, you know, we've had for a long time, as opposed to the internal control panel. And then you have the smaller ones. So one advantage of this would be in a co-op multiplayer type environment. You have multiple players. Each person can take their own, you know, vehicle and go around. It'll also make things a lot cheaper to build in terms of individual commitment on a multiplayer type thing. But we have more than just that. We of course have our nice little areas, our walkways to the different helipads. As you can see, we got a spot there, an open one if you want to add something, and an open one here for some of your own vehicles if you already have some. You can, of course, always dismantle the other ones that come with it if you don't want to use them and get some of your resources back. We have a little spot here that can walk down, I guess, either to surface level, to water level, or it can be a spot where you extend further down to the ground, whatever height level it's at. Going over this way, we come into our little, I guess, our inside living quarters area, our production area for, you know, we have a uranium generator. We have, of course, our FAD machine, our 3D printer. You've got your replicator. And the question is now, where is all of these stores? Here's another helipad here for a slightly larger design. Obviously, the biggest one is reserved already for the included design. So if you want to use it for your own bigger design, you'll have to swap that out. And we have a lower walkway here. If I, you know, a little stuttering because I have this big base and that base and just so much stuff going right here. I'm not seeing any, like, cargo containers just standing out everywhere. And then the other cool part about this, right up here by the radar, is you have the beginnings of a monorail. We actually have the rail design itself going along, which looks to be just a standard armor block with no extra things. Yep, just a standard armor block, so you can extend it that way. I'm not sure how this will work if we do, like, instead of the armor block, if we did, say, a longer piece like that. I mean, it's technically the same build almost in terms of the framework. Let's give it a try. We'll actually drive a little bit and see if I can make myself fall off. So there we go. We got that. So yeah, a little bit different contour than the steady, you know, full armor block, but I would think that that should not make a huge difference in terms of how the vehicle functions, but we will find out now. We're going to test this out. I want to actually see this in action because I have not actually played with a monorail. Oh, there we go. Deuterium generator tucked underneath. So we'll just put... well, not that much. I don't need that much. Even 50 is 127 hours of use. That's too much power. Way too much power. You know what? Nothing is on. Let's make sure that's actually on. It is on. So nothing causing me to move forward yet. And still no go. Okay, it should have been obvious. I just wasn't looking at it that carefully in terms of the blocks themselves. But when you start messing with where everything's connected, you'll see this little spot here on the side that is clearly not supposed to be all the way there. I could understand having a little stop block there to make sure you don't go too far past, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of having the other direction as well. So yeah, you need to take those out and drop this down into place. Now, and okay, so forward actually does work for it a little bit, not much. Okay, alright, so if you just hold forward, you're going to kind of ease along. But if you hold forward and what would be hover above, it seems to work a bit better that way. Or it did. I appear to have reached a stopping point. Especially you see that tire right there disconnected so badly. Let's see if maybe I can adjust the... oh, you know, I don't really have, like... there we go. I think it's just jammed under, which it shouldn't be stuck like that. It should be pushing on the side. So apparently I must have messed up somehow when I was moving forward. Okay, so I spawned an entire new one in. I just reloaded my save, spawned in it again. I've taken all the blocks back out. I took out the block set there to disconnect it from the base. I took it out from the lower truss, so that's disconnected. It has power, and I have extended much further out in the distance. Now, here's the problem. The tire that was the problem before is already messed up. All I did was disconnect this part from that part and then drop the truss, which is laying there on the base platform, and this is already messed up. So I did not mess it up. I can say now that that's not my fault. I didn't break it. It broke automatically on its own when it was disconnected for whatever reason, it decided I'm not going to work right this time. And so those little branches there allow for you to move on past it. So that was not the issue. The issue is just the wheel. And this actually works really well, even with the wheel off like that. Other than the fact I'm turned to the side. This works very fluidly until that. Going backwards is not working so well. Well, it's because I shifted off to the side because of that other wheel braking. So yes, this is a very nice idea, very nice concept, but that's twice now, 2 spawns that it's broken on me. And it was, this time, all I did was disconnect it and that wheel broke. So there's something not working right in the initial spawn for it, or in the time when I disconnect it that it drops down for whatever reason. It decides that that wheel sinks too low and breaks everything. But other than that, this is a nice base concept. The one thing I would say I would personally have changed on it is not to include the 4 vehicles here. Include the monorail ones, sure, but these heli vehicles, have them on the workshop as standalones if somebody wants to add it in, because that's a lot of extra resources. And by the time you have enough resources to build this whole thing yourself, you probably already have everything you're going to need in terms of a vehicle for getting stuff and flying from point to point. So I don't really see the need to have these 4 involved with it, because, you know, I would already have the air miner or some other vehicle to facilitate getting the supplies needed to build this, and I wouldn't need that one. I would just dismantle it and get those supplies back. So it's really unnecessary addition to it. So if you want to try this out and you don't like the idea of the 4 flying vehicles included, spawn it in to your creative game, disconnect them, fly them away, and make a new variation of the blueprint locally for you to use, and that will definitely cut down on pricing. It also, you see there, we have another rail system below that I now recognize from the top part. So there's actually a spot for an additional little car to be put through. Maybe not the exact same one. Maybe you can link it where that one goes and then curves and comes back to this one. And this is like the other place where it comes through. So it has 2 spots that can, you know, come right through here. But yeah, okay, that's what this is for. It's not for storing the cargo boxes like I thought earlier. It is for another monorail. So once again, this is the Heliport version 1.0 by Yimrick. And overall, I like the design. It's a very nice concept, very creative, especially since later in the game, most people go with flying vehicles rather than rolling vehicles. The major cons for me, though, that I see for either my playstyle or other players would be, of course, the extra vehicles that, for me, at this point in the game where I can build it, I don't need them. So that adds extra resources. Some players will probably not like the large amount of open trussing, even though it does cut down on some of the resource costs. There could be a variation where there's no flying vessels attached to it, just the vessels for the monorails, and then the trussing be filled out so you actually have more of a full type pillar look to it as opposed to just the trussing. And of course, the last bug being the problem with the wheel on that monorail vehicle where it keeps sinking and then not wanting to work right. So that's the major cons for me. I'm sure some other players may not be bothered by those, and some people may find more problems with it. But overall, a nice design, a nice concept, and a nice implementation of that. Well, that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button, leave me a comment below, and hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Spicy. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to keep it spicy this week, and I will see you in the next video.